Hi, everybody. This is Michelle Fox, and I'm here to talk about the Facebook framework for 2018, or I also call it the social media mentality for 2018. We're going to talk about some of the ways that we think about Facebook that are not helpful, and some of the things that we can do to focus more on progressing towards success on social media and Facebook in particular, and just sort of dealing with some of the faulty logic we use. So this is a kind of a pep talk presentation. There is some hard data. There are some numbers and figures that you will find interesting, I think. But it's not a serious hardcore how-to presentation. This is more of a, let's kind of get our framework together so we're all sort of looking at Facebook in a way that is productive for us, but also in a way that is a common knowledge base. It creates a common knowledge base so that we're all sort of looking at Facebook the same way. So that's my goal with this presentation. It should be relatively short, maybe 20 minutes. So here's kind of what I look like. And I'm talking to you about Facebook because, well, one, Facebook is the most important platform for authors right now. It has the largest concentration of readers who actually will respond to what you post on Facebook and buy a book. And also, I have formally taken classes with people like Mary Smith, who actually worked at Facebook, people like John Loomer, people like Mark Dawson. I have been using Facebook to market since 2014. So I have seen a lot of things, and I've had some interesting experiences, both positive and negative, that have informed my knowledge base. And in case you didn't know, I run the Wolfpack, which is a platform that helps readers find books they'll love. It helps authors find readers who will like their books. And then I also run the Wolfpack Promotions Group, which is where we discuss marketing and business issues and developments in the industry. And we also do some coordinated promo to help authors sell their books. And I have a pretty good track record of helping people move books. So let's look at this. We have the myth, we have legend, we have facts, and we have the framework. So there's a lot of just different things that people think or believe or say. And I see a lot of faulty thinking about Facebook just based on anecdotal data. And that is not a mentality that's going to help you sell books. So let's just kind of dive into some of the things that I hear on Facebook and the truth, what the reality is. We all blame Facebook for everything. I mean, I have even been prone to this myself, but it's really not necessarily always Facebook's fault. We have to remember that what we do matters. So a good experience on Facebook for authors is really a function of your brand strength, awareness about your brand, how you built your audience, and how you engage or don't engage your followers. Now, people who are going to have the absolute best experience on Facebook are going to be authors who already have some recognition from readers, so that when an author says, hey, I'm on Facebook, the readers go, oh, okay. And they immediately come and follow you because they know who you are and they like what you do. Most of us don't come into a warm audience on Facebook. We haven't really sold a lot of books maybe, or maybe our newsletter is really small and we haven't done a lot of marketing to readers or connecting with readers in other places. And so we come to Facebook expecting, a ticker tape parade, and what we get instead is crickets. And that really is about the strength of your brand. Now, you can come in cold to Facebook and be effective, but to be effective, that means you know how to run ads, you know how to target an audience, you know how to make a warm audience receptive to you. And those are skills that a lot of authors don't have when they're starting out. So a lot of people come onto Facebook and have a really bad experience to begin with because they don't know how to leverage who they are, what they do, and make it translate onto Facebook, or they just don't have the sales and the readership yet for Facebook to be a happening place for them yet. I also hear a lot of no one ever sees my posts. Well, what do you think the average organic reach is on Facebook right now? What percentage of total likes do you think people or pages are reaching on average? Think about it. Just type a little comment to this presentation and tell me what percentage you think that is. If you have 1,000 likes, how many people are, what's the average percentage that you're going to reach on each post? The average organic page reach right now is between 3 to 5% of total likes. And I've seen also figures that calculate the reach as low as 2%. And those figures are both from very reputable people in social media. I think one is from Mary Smith, another one is from Hootsuite that does a whole analysis on social media. So I don't know why one is 3 and one is 2%, but they're both from really good sources. And here's the math problem. If you have 1,000 or 10,000 likes and only 100 people see anything you post, what is your reach? It's less than 2%. You're underperforming the lowest performance metric, the lowest performance average on Facebook. In some cases, people actually are doing better than they thought, and they didn't even realize it because they didn't know the numbers. They didn't have any framework for analyzing their experience on Facebook. And in fact, if you were in the Wolfpack Promotions group, we did talk a little bit about what people's reaches were on their pages. And I did have people come in and they felt very negative about their reach. And I said, hey, this is what you're actually doing, and it's actually above the average. You're actually doing okay. And they were like, I didn't even know. So if your reach is higher than the average, good for you. But a lot of people are lower than 2%. And at that point, you have to kind of look at your framework, at your mental frame here and go, what is the real problem then? Is it Facebook or is it me? Because people who are optimizing content in Facebook and people who are trying are at least reaching 2% of their audience, typically more. And if you're not, it means really probably you're doing something wrong on your page. You maybe started your page too early, which I'll talk about in a minute, or you didn't quite know what to do with your page, or you're making some mistakes on managing your page. So those are things that can affect your experience on Facebook. Facebook rewards inputs or punishes them. So if your inputs are low value in the metrics that they track, which is things like engagement and things like that, if you're not getting those kinds of what's the word I'm looking for? Those kinds of metrics, if you're not ticking off the boxes for Facebook, they're going to penalize your content. They're not going to show it to anybody. But if you come in and you know that I need to drive engagement, I need to get things going, and you do that, then Facebook rewards it and they will show your stuff to more people. So it really is a function of what you do determines what Facebook does. Now, Facebook does have limitations in place. When you start a page and you post on it, not 100% of your followers are going to see everything you post. So we know that. That doesn't exist anymore. It used to, but it doesn't exist anymore. So we know going in that we're already at a limited visibility, but then it's up to us to make sure we're ticking off all of the little things that Facebook likes to see happen on our pages and on a post so that they show our content to more of our followers, okay? So here's some stories of screwed up Facebook pages. Starting the page before you're ready. And there's a couple of things you need to do before you start a page or a group or really hit Facebook marketing hot and heavy. First of all, you need to know how Facebook works, and you need to have some kind of foundation of knowledge about what you're going to do on Facebook. Okay, it's not the case of, oh, I can do a page, so I set up a page, and then I just slapped up a cover photo, and then I posted whatever, and then nobody cared, so I gave up on it and walked away, and now I wonder why my engagement is so low on the page. That's not what you need to do. You need to really be deliberate. Who is your reader? Who is your audience? Who are authors in your genre? And what are they doing on their Facebook pages that looks to be effective? And the other thing that really almost no one understands or realizes is that Facebook is nice to new pages. You get new page love on Facebook. Now, with all the changes they've made in the last month, that may change. It may not be like that so much anymore. But up until now, and it may continue, when you would do a page, you would get tons of love from Facebook. Every ad you ran was beautiful. Everything worked wonderfully. You had the best reach you were ever going to see organically. And that's because Facebook wants you to be successful. They want you to come in and advertise. They want you to spend money. They want your page to succeed. And they give you an opportunity to find your audience and to leverage their tools to make that connection and prove that you're a page worth showing to their user base. So what happens when you start your page and you don't know that, and you don't really know how to engage your audience, and you don't really know what works on social media, so when you come in and do that, you kind of get a wah from Facebook because nobody engages with your content, nobody sees your content, and you're signaling to Facebook that this content is not working. And Facebook has really sophisticated algorithms, but they don't yet have an ability to discern when someone just doesn't know. They don't know that you might need some training. They're just going to assume that your content is low value content and they're not going to show it to their users. And the other way you can screw up a page is there's initially when we had Facebook pages, there was sort of this idea that you would do ad campaigns to get likes. And generally speaking, I do not do that. I've done it once, but only because I knew how to target my audience and I knew it was a good audience. I had worked with this targeting before. I knew how it behaved. I knew it was receptive to what I was going to be doing. But typically we had a lot of authors running ads for likes on their pages, but they didn't understand how to target. And I had an author that came to me a couple of years ago and they're like, I don't know what's wrong with my page. And we dug into their numbers and their metrics and analyzed it. And we realized that they had done this like campaign and had not controlled what countries it went to. And they ended up with like 10,000 likes from men in Egypt when they write shifter romance geared towards English speaking women. So every time they did a boost on their Facebook page, it was a disaster because men in Egypt don't want to read that stuff. The only reason they like the page is because Facebook served the ad to them, and possibly they were part of a click farm or some sort of automated activity on Facebook. And so those likes all came onto their page. And there was kind of a big scandal 3 or 4 years ago where there were issues with those likes and where they were coming from. And there was a lot of scuttlebutt. I don't think that Facebook ever came out and publicly said, yeah, we jacked up all of this stuff. But it was an issue. If you weren't careful with how you did your ad targeting, you would get a bunch of likes from countries that you didn't do business in, that were not going to buy your books in large enough numbers for it to be worth it, right? And the other thing I wanted to say about pages is there's sort of this huge urban legend that you have to have a Facebook page. Now, logistically, you do need a Facebook page to run ads. Your Facebook page is integral to your ad account and your ability to run ads on Facebook. But you don't need to do it very first thing. It is not pivotally important. It's better to do it right than it is to hurry up and do it because you think it's so urgent. It's not so urgent that you can't take your time to learn about it. And a lot of the pressure to you should have a page comes from 2013, when if you had a page and you posted stuff on a page and people liked your page, every single person who liked it saw that content. Well, that has changed and visibility has gone down, as we have seen. It has gone down quite a bit. And in fact, there's sort of this idea of Facebook zero, where they think that eventually organic visibility will be at zero. And so, don't think you have to hurry up. Do it smart, do it right. Don't get pressured and just think, oh, I got to do it, because you're going to end up with really poor visibility. And you're also listening to an urban legend that is informed by things that don't happen anymore. Not everybody sees your stuff. So the Facebook page, the utility of it is changing. The way we're going to use it is changing. I will do a presentation. I will talk about what you're going to do with your page in 2018. They're still important. They're still useful, but the way they function and the way that we're going to use them will be very different going forward. More things people say. We have a couple variations on this theme. I quit. Facebook is a waste of time. I built this big audience and now no one sees my posts. Waste of time. I've actually said that. And so have a lot of other authors. And it is easy to get a little demoralized when you're dealing with social media and Facebook in particular, because this is a technology or a platform that changes constantly. And so as an author, you just want to write your books, right? And you just want to have some venue to market them in. You don't want to have a huge learning curve every single year, or sometimes every quarter, or sometimes every month, where you have to completely retool and recalibrate. It gets demoralizing because you feel like you created something, you finally had it, and then it was taken away from you. So I have succumbed to this thinking. In particular, it was painful when those of us who had nice pages and we were reaching 100% of our audience, and then the first bump down in visibility and organic reach came. That was really painful, to go from 100% to like 50% and then 20%. I mean, at this point for me, 20, 10%, 25% down to 2%, I'm sort of, inured to it. I don't get too upset anymore. Now my framework is that I'm looking to roll with the punches. And I'm looking for things I can still leverage. I'm looking for new opportunities or things that I can maximize my return on. Another one that I've heard is Facebook does nothing. I'm going back to Twitter. And this one makes me just put my face in my hands and kind of wail to the universe, because it's really depressing for me to hear it. See, now I don't get depressed about the Facebook changes. I get depressed when authors don't seem to really understand what's going on in social media and where social media fits in their strategy. So this sentence really, it's a true story. These are things people really have said, and it made me want to cry, because I can tell they don't know anything about Facebook. I can tell they don't know anything about social media, and I can tell they don't know anything about marketing on social media. They don't know that Facebook is the number one place to sell things. Whatever you're selling, the number one place to sell is on Facebook. They don't know that. They don't know that Twitter, for example, did not grow last year and is going to have to restructure and come up with a new strategy because they flailed in 2017. They didn't have a successful year. Facebook, aside from the whole, fake news thing, Facebook had a good year of growth, because maybe the Facebook platform had kind of a muddy year, but Instagram grew. Some of their other properties that they own have grown. So they had a good year. And their evolution, evolution is the correct word. Their evolution into being a center of commerce is actually well underway, even though they're not talking about it. If you listen to Facebook, all they're talking about right now is newsfeed and video. And they're not talking about things like chatbots. They're not talking about things like commerce and how they're going to be a center of commerce. But those are things that are actually happening now, and they're starting to develop and grow and be part of the platform and the infrastructure on Facebook. And they're going to be a big part of what people do on Facebook in the future, in my opinion. So I get really depressed when I hear people say, no, no, no. Also when we say things like, I grew this big audience and now it's a waste of time. No. A good audience is always a good audience. And I will talk more about what to do with your audience on Facebook in 2018 in my next presentation that I hope you'll come and listen to, because I think that one has a lot of practical advice. And there was something I wanted to do going backwards to reference organic reach, but now I can't remember what I was going to say. So we're going to keep moving forward. So the main thing is, when you're dealing with Facebook and you're trying to get your game face on and have the correct mentality and put in the correct filter through which to look at social media and Facebook, you want to operate in reality. Reality is where all the opportunity is. And that means you need to know, what is the average organic reach? Okay, yeah, Facebook's talking about newsfeed changes and they're talking about video, but what's going on in the background that nobody else is talking about yet? Because that's really going to be the next wave you can catch. You got to take these complaints, these anecdotal situations, with a grain of salt. You don't know how people built their pages. You don't know if they have an audience that is even there for them on Facebook. You don't know if they've done enough to engage the readers they have connected with. You don't know what they're doing on Facebook. Some people have really made some big mistakes in their strategy. You need to do your own research. You need to know Facebook's benchmarks, and you need to know your facts. There's something called essential pain, which is kind of this idea of being stuck in the past. It would be like if I was still complaining about 2014 and losing 100% visibility on my page. That's not helping me, right? I mean, it's really more important for me to move with Facebook and move forward in time than it is for me to keep looking back. Now, of course, if you have a time machine and you can go back in time, feel free to do so and become a multimillionaire, but I don't have a time machine. So I can only work in today. I can only work in tomorrow, right? I can only anticipate the future, and I can only do what I can today. And so these are some of the things that I put into my framework. When I think about Facebook, this is how I think about Facebook. These are the things I tell myself. Don't keep looking back on the easy days, because that's all a matter of perspective. There were people who were there in 2013. They couldn't figure Facebook out. So my easy in 2013 was their hard, right? Tech changes fast. I'm an author. That means, and I'm an indie author. So that means I am tied to the technology industry. I'm a webpreneur or a techpreneur in addition to being an author. So I can't avoid these changes. I have to embrace it. I have to go into this knowing that I'm going to adapt over and over and over again. And I have to accept this as normal. There's no status quo for very long in social media. I can't waste time getting stuck on what used to be. I need to put my energy and my focus and my time into what is and what will be. Now, the truth is, as much as we might hate Facebook, okay, as much as it might annoy us, all these changes, we're going to utilize social media until it doesn't sell books. Facebook can change over and over again, but so long as readers are there, as long as they're on Facebook, authors are going to be on Facebook. The smart authors are going to be on Facebook. Authors, oops, I have a typo, missing an S, but authors go where readers are, right? There's no point in me locking myself in my bathroom and telling the bathroom about my book, right? There's nobody there to listen to me. My job as an author when it comes to marketing my work is to figure out where people are, go where they are, and try to connect with them as best as I can. And so that means right now, that means Facebook. And I think it will continue to be Facebook for the foreseeable future. Here's another thing that I kind of say to myself about Facebook. Today is always the best experience I am ever going to have on Facebook. Today is always the cheapest it will ever be to build an audience on Facebook. It's not going to get cheaper. It's not going to get easier. It's just going to change and change and change again. So once I figure out what's going on in the moment, I need to get busy and I need to seize the day. Does that make sense to everybody? So I look forward to your comments and feedback on this presentation. I hope that this was helpful, and I hope it kind of gives you a different perspective. Don't get bogged down in negativity about the changes on Facebook. That's not our job. That's not my job. That's not your job. That's not the reader's job. Really, our job is, okay, today Facebook is purple, and tomorrow it's going to add polka dots, and my job is to figure out what matches that. And that's how I always try to think about Facebook. So I hope that was helpful, and I look forward to your comments.